Welcome to the ADP Show and Tell. I'm going to be handing over to our lovely friends from BOPS. Who am I handing over to?
I think it's Amy.
Do we have an Amy?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Amy. Would you like me to
have already met?
Oh, Ashley, can I mute you? Is that okay? Thank you. Amy, would you like me to continue sharing my screen, or do you want to drive?
Please can I share my screen, and then I do have a couple slides on the deck which I'll show
No
afterwards.
problem at all. Right, I'll let you start, Amy.
Thanks. For some reason my camera isn't working, so I'll keep it off for the moment. I'll just share my screen. Okay, I think I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, I can see the BOPS staging services.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Amy. I'm from Camden Council, and I'm the product owner. I'm leading on pre-applications for BOPS. So I'm going to be doing a demo of the features that we've built so far for validation and consultation of pre-apps. I appreciate some of you might have seen this already, but we do have a couple new things to show. So I've come onto the main dashboard here. I've just logged in, and on this dashboard you can see that we've added a few pre-applications here. I've got a few test ones down here. You can see clearly that we've got the PRE at the end to indicate that it's a pre-app, and we've also now added a filter at the top here for pre-apps, so you can search. You can apply that filter, and it should just show all of the pre-apps here. And you can also search for your pre-app in the search. So I'll search for this one. You can see that here. So if I click on this application, this pre-application, it will bring me to the application landing page, where you can also see we've got the application type clearly at the top here, pre-app advice. And you can also see what type of pre-app service that the applicant has selected here. So this is what the applicant will have selected and paid for through Plan X, and you can see that this one's for written advice, but a lot of other councils will be offering different services. For example, if I come into here, some of the other options advice might include a meeting as well, or a site visit, which you'll be able to see here. So the officer knows clearly here, can see clearly here what type of service to carry out. If I come down the page, you can see the expiry date here, and I'll just show you in the local admin that we have now added a feature, so that under here, if you log into your local admin, under the application settings, we've now added this feature where you can see where you'll be able to change the expiry period. So if you come into here, you'll be able to change the days. I've just selected it as 21 for the moment. This will allow councils to set their specific timescales, their different target and expiry dates, as each council will have sort of different timescales for pre-apps. I'm not going to change that now, as there's still a bug fix which needs to happen for that to work. But ideally, you'll be able to change that. The intention is you'll be able to change that, and then it will change the expiry date here. So now I'll just show you the validation and the consultation steps. Oh, sorry. Oh. Come down the page here to the validation and consultation steps. If I click into validation. So you can see here that we only have the relevant tasks for pre-apps. there's a feature in the global admin which allows us to turn on and off certain features for certain application types. So this has allowed us to turn off features like checking for SIL and the IA, things, tasks which aren't relevant for pre-app. I come on to the consultation. And same for consultation, we've toggled off features which aren't relevant for pre-apps. So, for example, neighbour letters and site notice and press notices aren't relevant for pre-apps. So we've just got the consultees here. And I'll show you the consultation emails. So far for pre-apps, we know for pre-apps that documents are not made publicly available. However, consultees will still need to have a way to view them securely and in a non-public way so that they can review them, make their comments. So we've sort of come up with this idea of having a magic link for consultees in the consultation email. I'll show you how that works now. So if I go in and select and add a consultee, you can see that I've actually added myself here on this one. So, but you can search for consultees and add them. Just added myself. Come on to here to send the consultee emails. Just send another one to me. Same features here, you can choose whether you're sending to a new consultee or if you chase in reconsulting. Again, here we could set the expiry period, the consultation expiry period. So set the date for the consultees to let them know how when they submit their comments by. Just send an email here. So that email's been sent. So I'm just going to come onto my emails. Okay, so I've just come onto my email and now I've received the consultee email. So you can see here that we've made it very obvious that it's a pre-application. Got the proposal details. You can view the pre-application documents using this magic link here, and here it clearly says when you need to submit your comments by. So if I come onto this link, it's going to bring me to this page where you can see again at the top, it's made it very clear when you need to submit your comments by. Got all the pre-application information here. We still need to build out this page, so you will be able to see sort of some comments at the end and the pre-application documents as well. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and if Chanel, we could just share the slide deck again, please. So that link is an authenticated way. We wanted to find an authenticated way for consultees to be able to access the pre-app documents because they are not made public. The link, we've chosen to make the link so it will expire within 48 hours. Of course, the consultee would not be expected to respond within that time. That's why we've made it very clear on the email and on the page when they need to submit the comments by, and there'll be which will be the consultation expiry date. If the link does expire, then they can request a new one. So if they go onto the link after the 48 hours, sorry, Chanel, if you just move to the next slide. Thank you. This page will show up where you can click on to request a new magic link, and it will send a new link. to the consultee, where they can access that page again with the details. That allows that allows them to send a new email with a new link without the officer having to send a new one every time. Otherwise that would make it quite a tedious task. If we move to the next slide, please, Chanel. And here's what the complete build out of that page will look like for the consultee once they click that link. So you can see that we added the documents there, and then they'll be able to submit their comments at the bottom. And then there will also be sort of a thread where they can see sort of previous comments that they've made, or maybe if the officer has responded to them. So that's what we have so far for pre-apps. I think I'm handing over to Fede.
Yes, thank you, Amy. Hi, everyone. Do you see my screen? Cool.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So my name's Fede. I'm one of the designers working on BOPS. So just a quick update from me before I pass it over to Laura and Jean to kind of explain to you more a more in-depth approach as to what we're working on. So at the moment, we're working on the assessment stage in BOPS for householder pre-applications. And we're taking a slightly different approach that we did from validation and consultation. So in the assessment, this is where the planning officer provides written advice to the applicant about what they're planning to do. So in this case, it's important that we first figure out the actual outputs of what the applicant would expect to see in a written advice. And by doing that, it will kind of naturally give us a good clue on the process of how we're building the assessment stage. So what you see here is kind of a skeleton version of the written report. It's not perfect, but you know, things may change, but it does give us a good head start on the topics and sections we need to consider. So I'll just go through quickly with the topics. So we have the application outcomes, officer details. In terms of the application outcomes, this gives the applicant more of a summary as to what to expect in the written advice. So we have the officer contact details, the pre-application request. So these are the details of the what they have asked for advice. We have the sitemap, relevant site constraints, site history. We have the key advice and then additional advice. And then we have certain information in terms of the policies and guidance and the documents that they would need to submit for a full application. I'm just going to quickly run through the report. So as you can see, here are the application outcomes. We have the officer contact details, the pre-application request. You see here is the sitemap, the site history. We have the relevant site constraints, the key advice, which Laura and Jean will cover a bit more in depth. We have the additional advice, the policies and guidance, and then the documents to submit. So it's, again, this is just a skeleton version, but hopefully it gives you a good idea as to what we're working on. And I will hand it over to Jean and Laura to give you a more in-depth approach.
Thank you, Fede. Chanel, could you continue sharing the slide, please? Hi, everyone. I'm Jean. I'm designer and researcher working for BOPS. Yeah, I'm going to share a little bit of the process, how we work for the pre-apps. We mainly focus on householder applications at the moment.
Can you see my screen, Jean?
Yes, if you
Yeah,
go
perfect.
up to BOPS. Oh, yes. One more forward.
Again, like with the authorities, we've received some top-up funding, and we're planning a lot of effort into support.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so after Fede sharing the skeleton and the structure of the report, we work backwards to how planning officers add those information to the back office in the assessment stage. We shared our initial design in the design and research section last week. So we got many useful input and feedback from several councils, such as Gloucester, Medway, Gateshead, and Doncaster. We are now working on the assessment and advice section in the report. We also discussed with Keris and Laurie from the Mensa to align with the research and testing that they are doing to on Planex's pre-application process. So hopefully we can collaborate and testing and share the design with you all very soon. I'm gonna hand over to Laura.
Thanks, Jean. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm another one of the designers working on BOPS. Could we go one slide forward, please? Oh, we seem to be stuck in the middle. I don't know if anyone can see that. Yeah, thank you. So just a couple of the key points that we've learned from the work that the research that Jean and Amy have been doing. So one of the challenges for us is around language. So quite unusually for the BOPS team, we're working with two quite different audiences. Obviously, we are working with planning officers, but this is an applicant-facing part of the service. And obviously those applicants might be just ordinary people. They might be agents who have a lot more knowledge of planning terms. So we need to do a bit more thinking around the language that we're using to describe certain parts of the report. Also, we found that different councils use completely different terms to describe those different elements that Fede went through in terms of the content. So we need to do a bit of standardization, but we also don't want the report to just look like a sort of copy and paste report. It needs to have the flexibility to be personalized to the applicant. So we're kind of making space for the officer to add personalization to the more generic advice. And then we found that there are some kind of chunky bits of the report that we need to break down into separate design tasks. So these are the areas around the key advice, where we're giving the applicant quite a lot of information around different topic areas, different policies, what they need to do, and so on. And we're just trying to work out how we can make that as clear to the applicant as possible. We've then got we're not quite sure what term we're going to use yet, but the secondary or more generic advice, for example, signposting the applicant to building control. Again, how we do that. We've got the presentation of documents, and then we've got all the other sections in the report. Next slide, please. So just a final thing, thank you to everyone who's shared examples so far of pre-app reports. If there are anyone from any councils that haven't shared them with us, that would be really helpful to see how you do it in your area. You can share them with us on Slack, to Jean or myself. And if there are any planners who have not yet been involved in our design research working group, it happens every couple of weeks. We'd love to get you involved. And the next one is Wednesday, the 5th of February. That's it from us, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next we've got Planex. Ian.
Thanks, Chanel. Morning, folks. Ian at OSL here. I hope everyone's well. We've got a couple of features to share with you today, which are improvements to the Planex editor. Could I have the next slide, please, Chanel? Both of these features are concerning areas of the editor, which I think it's fair to say have remained quite unchanged for a while. And these are the more kind of admin side of the editor, or rather the bits that don't really concern the Planex logic builder. So the more organizational level things. And the first of these is the list of services. So if you use Planex before, if you're familiar with the platform, then you'll recognize the view on the right there, which is the list of services for a given council. And this is, I'm picking on Buckinghamshire here, one of our most prolific councils, one of our most active councils. I think there's something like 60 services live, or 60 services that are in the service list. And we've been aware for a while that this list has become quite unwieldy, quite hard to work with. We've also had numerous requests from across our Planex editor community to improve this. So we've taken some action on this. Next slide, please. So the first thing we we're thinking about is how can we organize the flows better. And the first stage of this is to really interrogate what makes up a flow or a service, what are the properties. So we kind of went through and mapped out what are the things we can pull out. So I've grouped those here with by descriptive and then numerous taxonomies. So tags or statuses that are either automated or could be user controlled. And finally, like live info, so things that we can tell by interrogating when things were used or when they were last actioned. And from this, we can decide what to do or how to organize the flows. Next slide, please. We then did a bit of a research stage. So this was a mixture of looking at feedback that we'd already had, requests, user stories from the community, and also looking at existing filtering and organizational patterns, drawing from, of course, examples across the GDS ecosystem, but elsewhere as well. And yeah, thinking of the ways we could address these user stories with different patterns. Next slide, please. And then we had a series of prototypes that we put together. So wireframes, iterations over filters. I've made these deliberately small because they are just basically moving around parts, trying out different ideas, creating quick prototypes that are clickable and interrogating those as a team. And from that, we came up with a design that we wanted to go into development with, so working closely with my colleague Rory, the developer Rory, who's a really great developer. We started to build the filtering system. Next slide, please. I don't know. Right, I'll take over share now. This is where all hell breaks loose. Am I sharing? Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Yeah, super. So when you visit your council on Planex, you will soon see a view that looks very much like this. And the first thing you'll notice is the services have been reorganized into a grid, and I'll talk through these. So we have service title and when it was last edited. On the live platform, it will also say who edited it. It's not working for me because I'm working locally here. We've also added, you'll see some of the properties here, so we can see which services are online, whether or not they're a submission service, and you can see a short summary of the service as well, which will link to a page that we'll come on to a bit further in our talk. And we have the usual menu here as well, which is the functions for the service. Jumping back up to the top, we've introduced a search bar. So if I type in find out, you'll see that the first result is find out if you need planning permission. We also have a filters drop down as well, which has got the properties that I talked about before. So I could say I want to look at the submission services which are currently offline, and it would give me all the results. And you can clear off those filters one by one as well. So just show me all offline services and clear them all off in one go. And finally, we have this sort by function where we can change how we view the filters. So if we say I want them alphabetical, I want to see when it was last published, oldest or newest first, and the default would be last updated, which is what's currently shown on Planex. This should be out for testing hopefully before the end of the week. As it's quite a big change, any feedback we do get on this is very valuable. This is very much a kind of first iteration of this. So we, as with all the editor features, we refine them over time with feedback from the community. So it's very valuable to have any feedback. In terms of next steps, we're also looking at how we can use this filtering system for creating a feedback table, which is not only a filterable feedback table, but is interactive, so it can be annotated as well. And that's it for me. I'll pass over to Joe, who will talk through another feature.
Thanks, Ian. I'm just going to share my slides. Let me know if you can see it when it pops up.
Yep.
Cool. So I'm Joe, one of the developers at Planex. I've been working on this feature, the service README page. So let's go to the user story to explore what this is first. So as an editor, I want a description for all my flows, including what the flow does, its functionalities, its limitations, when it was last published and last edited. And until now, this function has been provided by a ginormous Notion page, which includes the description of each service, whether it's statutory, discretionary, etc., which cancels live with it. But this isn't ideal because it's a separate document outside the Planex editor, so it's more difficult to find. People need to kind of keep bookmarks on it or keep sharing the link. Secondly, it's also only editable by people at Planex. And with template services which are coming up in the future, it's going to be important for people who have created the services to be able to describe what the service does, so other people know, whether to copy it or not. So this feature, this README page that I'm going to describe, is all about getting things off Notion and bringing more things in-house to the Planex editor. As such, we've created a new page in the editor, which we're calling the README page, or the About This Service page. This is what it looks like. We've got the service name. It appears in the sidebar on the editor with this new About the Service icon. We've got those little tags that, similar to the ones Ian showed in the last feature. At the moment, we've just got online, offline, but more will appear for all the different types of service. We've got the ability for people to write a short blurb about the service and also longer description, and there are more text fields below, which you'll see on the demo. So yeah, this is editable by team members of the flow. It lives in the editor. There's lots of prompts, so people kind of know what to expect from the different text inputs, like what kind of information it needs to include. It's much easier to find, and it's going to massively expand in terms of the features we've got on it. Right now, I'm working on getting a list of external portals that the flow relies on appearing in this page. That's not live yet, but that's coming soon. So I'll just do a little demo of it in real life. I'm going to go to Camden, and let's see. What should I go for? Let me just go for something. It doesn't really matter. I'll go to this About the Service icon here, and we've got this page here. It's currently an online service. This is the title, and if I start typing a short description about this service, for users to report a planning breach, and it's got a 120 character limit there. So so this one doesn't get too unwieldy. This description is going to be shown on the cards that are on the front page of the team, the flows that Ian just showed. So this one needs to be not too long, so it kind of fits onto the card. And these ones here are rich text editors, so you can do bullet points and you can do full text in the normal way. Something like that. You can add images, links. So these ones are intended to be a lot bigger, basically, kind of divide into sections. You can have headings, that kind of thing. So we're hoping this will be a really rich source of everything you need to know about the flow, basically. Non-editors won't be able to touch this, as in they'll be able to see it, but it won't be editable. These buttons will be grayed out. And yeah, watch this space for more changes on this page, basically. As of last night, this is on staging, ready for testing, so should be ready for teams to have a look at now. So just a call out for people to try it out, let us know what you think and what other things might be useful to see here, and let us know any questions in the chat box as always. Not sure who I'm passing on to, but I'll pass back to Chanel.
Thank you so much. I think we've now got our friends from the register. Who am I passing over to, please?
Hello, it's me.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
You want me to share my screen, or are you happy?
I can share because I want to show you a demo. We had quite a lot of updates from our accessibility testing and general user research features that we've updated. So I'm just gonna share my screen to take you through a little demo. Bear with me a second. Here we are. I hope you can see it, okay? Yep, great. So this is the planning register. This is the live service. Is currently live for Barnet and Camden councils and imminently for Lambeth, Medway and Gateshead. One of the reasons the other councils couldn't launch them as of yet is because of the accessibility testing, which we have done, and we had a lot of changes resulting from that. And also, I think as we speak, we went through the second round of assessments. So soon, probably even today, we're going to find out if we passed it. So really, really exciting stuff. I'm just going to show you from the first page. So previously we had the drop down where we show different councils, but that turned out to be quite difficult for screen readers. So we removed that. And now when you go on the council page to go back to choose a different council, you just click on the main title and that takes you back. So it's quite straightforward. In terms of other changes, quite importantly, on the application for screen readers, previously we had just view details, and for screen readers, it was quite difficult when it got to the point of reading this part of the page to know what the details are about. So we added again the reference number of the application, so that reads completely and is really straightforward. Also, the OS maps we have updated with the current OS API that we're using across ODP products. So this looks really good now, and you can also zoom in and out on it depending on what you want to capture. You will see in here some of the accessibility tests. It came out from accessibility testing in relation to the contents page. So now if you click on any of the headlines, it takes you directly to it, but the contents remain in its place, so you can easily navigate the page. We found that from users, this is really, really helpful. And we also have the progress shown as a timeline, which is really exciting. It shows very clearly like what the application stage is at, and how that a bit of explanation of what it means as well. This is a lawful certificate application from Barnet, but I'm going to show you one that has a decision notice. The back button also has been fixed to send people back to the, not back from the start, but back to the previous step. I know back button is a tricky one for loads of services, so we sorted that out. So on this one, as you can see, the status is determined. So this is a lawful development certificate. Has been granted, and in documents you can see the decision notice has been issued directly from BOPS. Might take a while to load it. This is it. We are currently working with planning data team and BOPS team to establish accuracy standards for the decision notices. But this is how it looks for now, and it's really straightforward. As soon as the decision is made, BOPS is transferred to us through the DPR, through the public API. This is the decision. In relation to the comments, I'm not sure I can show you on this one. I'll go back to show you comments on the planning application. Maybe try this one. Yeah, consultation in progress. You can see here the status. I'm just going to show you something that we changed, which is quite significant, but I think it's going to come back. This is the page that it starts about the comments, telling people a bit more about what we are looking to get as planning officers in terms of comments, so we know we can increase the quality of comments as a result. Previously, we had emojis in relation to feelings that we had in here, but the way they were designed came out from the accessibility testing that they're a bit confusing for people, so they weren't expressing precisely the sentiment that was saying it is. But that is for AAA accessibility compliance. We have changed it for now because we were conscious that there is maybe a bit of work that we can do to the design of the emojis. So we are going to work on their design and how they look like, and then probably get them through another accessibility testing. But for now, we just replaced it with the radio buttons, quite straightforward and easy for everyone to use, even those with screen readers, because it just reads exactly what it is. Excuse me. What other things we had in relation to the in relation to the planning application in itself? We are now showing the case officer in the people section. We know this section, we got some user testing responses that is slightly confusing because before it wasn't showing the case officer, so people were a bit confused about who they can contact to discuss about planning application. So we now added the case officer. It's much clearer. However, we are still working to find whether there is a better place for the case officer to be linked to, and we leave this section with the people as in the applicant details. And I think these are the main things in relation to planning applications. And then on the help page, as you would expect, planning is very complex and is a lot going on within the planning application process and system as a whole. So this page had a lot of information in, but we now structured that in different headlines, so it reflects directly of interested points that people want to find out about, for example, important dates. Then it takes you to this page where you can see important dates within the council and then important dates within the appeal process. Just clear and straightforward information, no jargon, very accessible and using plain English, which we know helps people understand better what it's all about. And I think this is it. If I missed anything, Bobo, would you like to jump on it? Otherwise, I can share my screen for the slides.
No, I think that's everything.
Thank you. Oh, not this one. Oh, not this one. Sorry, everyone. Oh, there is an update, sorry, for the digital sign notices. Just to mention, we now have a more straightforward URL. Before we had Netlify one, which was a bit confusing and not very trustworthy. But now we have one digital sign notices.canada.gov.uk, and it's similar for Lambeth Council, which have the service live. And in terms of accessibility testing, we had some updates on this one as well, which are similar to what I've been showing you in DPR. So I'm just gonna go on this now and share my screen. Oh, nope.
I'm happy to share my screen for the follow-up slides.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do it?
I'm gonna have to jump between slides and things, so I'll do this.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, folks. Hopefully you are seeing my screen. Yeah, I'm going to give everyone a little talk through of onboarding onto the DPR for councils, because it's a relatively straightforward path. We have DPIAs to fill in, of course. It's probably the longest part of this entire exercise, is making sure DPIAs are in. We're doing some work at the moment to document all the sort of standard answers and get that all lined up so that that will be streamlined as much as possible. But once that's done, then we have an onboarding form. It's very straightforward. A Google document. We can provide this in other formats if you can't access Google. And this gives you a little talk through of what we need. So the API for BOPS, or in future, any other register which is ODP compliant. The sort of various bits and pieces of essential links of like, and also your logo, so we can pop that on there appropriately. And couple of places where we definitely need some links to make sure that people can access the appropriate resources. We've also got some optional helpful links. These are the sort of things that are included in the sort of help pages and the supplementary information. And there's some examples on here of the kind of content that we want from Camden. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole form. Once we've got this, certainly the essential stuff and as much of the optional things as you can provide, then we can set you up on staging. And I have got a local version of staging running right here. You can see we do have more councils than just Camden and Barnet set up on our staging environment. This is a local installation. I've taken one of them off so to show you just how easy it is for us to actually onboard things once we've got all the information we need. So this is my code that you were looking at. This is my installation of it. And I've got here, this is the setup that we need to do for adding Southwark. We also have to add the API keys, but I'm not going to show you those. There are a few lines even though it's only staging API keys, we're not going to give away those. But we've got some really basic, simple sort of Java JSON setup here where it tells us what the name is and the visibility of various different things and some of the links that we pop in. This is basically all of the stuff from the onboarding document, but turned into code. So if I grab that, you can see we've got a little file here. You can see we've got the setups here for Medway and Lambeth and all the rest of them. So if I just pop Southwark on here and I hit save, so in the background, you can see just down here, my computer is doing what is a deployment, but the developers will then have to save this and go and deploy this to the staging environment. So they'll just push this little extra bit of code. And then you'll get this, where Southwark pops up and it's fully functional. So it's relatively quick in terms of our onboarding process. And as long as the information is being displayed from the staging environment, then this will show up on staging. You can explore that, make sure it's all working the way you want it to. And then once you're happy, as councils, you can push that live. So we've made sure this is as streamlined as possible. That's the demo I just gave you. So that's hopefully relatively quick. We'll just make sure that's straightforward because of the way we've designed it and built the way that we deal with data from other places rather than storing it ourselves. It's a little bit easy. There will probably be more complex onboarding things in future once we start doing advanced stuff like if we set up our email alerting service, but none of that for now. So what's up next for DPR and DSN? Well, in the dev pipeline at the moment, we're working on making sure that appeals information is displayed on the DPR so that any applications which go through the appeals process with pins, that information is being stored in BOPS, and we're going to be exposing that on our end as well to the public. We're also setting up the ability to search and filter comments. That's part of our first step in our process of adding a lot more advanced searching and filtering. We're going to do comments, we're going to do documents, and we're also going to do, of course, applications themselves. But we are starting with a relatively small one so that our devs can get their heads around working alongside and contributing a little bit to the BOPS code base as we update APIs and make sure they work together. What we've got up next in terms of design, I didn't put design on this slide. I should have done it. I was doing it from my own perspective as the designer on the project. But we've got some user research pain points that have come out of some of our accessibility testing, our internal accessibility testing, and some of our previous user research things have built up. So we're going to adjust that people section, as Nora mentioned a little bit earlier, just to try and make it clear which bits are for what. We've got a little bit of extra help content that we want to add into our advanced search designs so that it's clear how that functions, what it is you're searching against for anyone who might be confused. We know that professional users like architects and planners are not going to have too much of a problem with it. They're going to be used to the functionality, but we want to make sure that's as accessible for everyone as we possibly can. We're also going to be looking at simplifying the designs we've got for our sort of alerts and notification management system. There's a few things in there that we tried to make simple, and by trying to make simple, made them a little bit too complicated when looked at in context. So we're going to adjust those. We're also looking at some quick filters because in our exercises of integrating the DSN functionality into DPR, we've realized that the idea of site notices to the vast majority of the public just doesn't make sense in a digital format. There's no real way of explaining what that is. So we're going to be figuring out the right ways of filtering our views rather than having like a headline item in the navigation which says, here's your digital site notices, which no one knows what they are. People in our research assumed most of the time that it was information about the website. So you can see that site doesn't make sense. Rather than trying to rename it, trying to find something that makes sense, we're going to do some quick filters to make sure that people can get to various different types of things. It'll also potentially give access to things like being able to see like a weekly list just there on the website by clicking a quick button. And also going to improve the map. We've done some user research on it. We've got a design that we think we're relatively comfortable with, but we need to do a little bit more work to make sure it does indeed meet all the needs we want it to and doesn't confuse people. Now we've got that working in the coded prototype rather than just a flat designed one. We can get people to explore that and check out what's going on there a bit more. But that's the immediate stuff. Here we are. We've got a little priorities on a page that we put together. We've got kind of idea of like what stages we're kind of we've kind of built up here. Stage 1 MVP, all good and done. That's what you've just looked at that Nora showed off. Stage 2, you can see the bits and pieces that we're working on at the moment and things we've got coming up in the future. Stage 3 is a little bit further in. Further, that starts looking at things beyond just making sure that the data and the applications are all surfaceable and searchable and have got, you know, the most understandable and engageable. This is then moving on to sort of more features, which are more about notifying people and getting histories and getting more application connections and context in there. And then our stage 4 is sort of some additional bonuses that we're hoping we'll be able to get through eventually. And yeah, that's, in case you wanted to have a quick, like, this is the stuff we're focusing on delivering over the next few months to a year. And we are already solidly getting progress into that into January. I think appeals is basically nearly done. Our devs are smashing this. And also, if you want to get involved, please do jump on the Slack and say hello to us. I've got some user research sessions we really want to do with community groups and LPAs. But there will be lots more, but there is some stuff specifically about how people get engaged, how they interact with actual physical site notices, what ways they would want to interact with a planning register. We really want to try and talk to actual communities and also the planners that interact with those communities. So if you are want to get involved, please give us a shout. I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that's presented today. We do have a few minutes for questions. So I can see in the chat there are some questions that our product teams have tried hard to keep up with and answer as we go. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask now? Please put your hand up and the product team can address it. Excellent. Okay, well, that looks like we've had really clear demonstrations, and I'd like to thank everybody for their time. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful Wednesday.